Hello, this is Kim from the Community Education and Training Department at Mercer County Community College. You are about to listen to our podcast called Adult Learners Steps to Success. In our monthly podcast, we will be discussing topics such as interviewing tips, employer expectations, the job market, and much more. Our number one priority is to give our adult learners the education and the tools they need to succeed. Enjoy the show. Welcome, everyone, to today's podcast. Today, we have with us Debbie Wood from St. Mary's Medical Center. Welcome, Debbie.
Hi, Kim.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm doing good. Thank you.
Great. Why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am the lead mammography technologist at St. Mary's Medical Center in Langhorne, PA. I graduated as a X-ray tech in 1990. 2 years later, I really started in the mammography world and just kept going. And it really worked for me, especially when I had children. I was able to go part-time, per diem, do all that stuff. And now here I am as a supervisor of the breast imaging center. And I have under me breast ultrasound. We do DEXA scans and mammography. And I have about 20 plus employees that I take care of and manage. And I really enjoy it and I like it. And I feel like it's my calling.
Your job responsibilities. Can we talk about that for a minute? Like, I know that you are in charge of interviewing potential candidates, correct?
Yes.
Let's talk about your role in interviewing candidates. Tell me and tell the students about when you're reviewing a resume. When that resume hits your desk, what are you looking for? Like, what stands out? What is Debbie looking for when she's reading that resume?
I actually look for how many years experience, not as an X-ray tech, but as a mammographer. And I am definitely one for giving new students opportunities, and they do come through and they train and they ask me, and I'm always about, you have to start out somewhere, but where my department is and my hospital, it's a high volume facility. And I just feel like you really need to be seasoned as a technologist. If you're going to start out, I would always say start out. I'm not in a big hospital, maybe start out in an outpatient facility, something like that. As far as mammography, to get your feet wet, that's always the best way. I feel gives you more time to really stay with that patient, where in the higher volumes, it's a shame, but it's like you're in and out. You get them in, you get them out. But when you're seasoned, you can kind of talk to them, position, and do everything and make them still feel comfortable and secure as a patient, and that they're in good hands. So that's what I look for. I look to see where they've worked, how long they've worked, and if they're in and out of jobs a lot. I do try to look at that. I want to see how stable they are with it. And then when they come in for the interview, I do kind of ask them that. They've been in short periods. So say they were only there in one hospital for 6 months and then go to another hospital for another 6 months and another. So that's kind of like a red flag to me. Why aren't they staying?
Right. What about employment gaps? I mean, what if you saw somebody who was a mammography tech for 4 years and then 2 years are empty on the resume and then they pick up again? Do you take that opportunity to ask that candidate what was going on in that 2-year period?
Absolutely. Yes, I do. And I've had that. And some people will tell me they had to take time for a family member that was ill.
Right.
I've had them say for childcare, or they were laid off and they wanted to go a different route and go experiment or see if they want to get their hands dirty in something else and then maybe come back into the field. So yeah, that question I do bring up if I do see that. But if I see, like I said, 6 months, a year or 2 months, and it's like constant like that. But if someone's been like in 3 jobs, but 30 years experience, like I have, and had 3 or 4 jobs, but in it for so many years, and maybe they moved, or there's a lot of things, or they wanted to move up the ladder and they couldn't. They were in a dead end and where they were. So there's a lot to consider.
I love that you mentioned moving up the ladder, because I have talked to the students before more about career ladders and advancement. So I'm glad that you pointed that out. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk first impression. When a candidate walks in your door, what is your first impression? Tell me about their appearance, maybe what they're wearing, something like that. What you think is inappropriate and what you think is appropriate.
With being in the medical profession, a lot of people will come from work and we wear scrubs. So someone might come in scrubs, but the majority of the time, and I have to say, and I've done this myself, I made sure I gave myself enough time. If I was going for an interview and I was leaving my present job, I did change and I put on business attire, business casual, not over the top. And it's kind of funny because I was questioned one time in one of my interviews and they said, why are you dressed in regular clothes? Didn't you just come from another job? And I'm like, yes, but that's me. But I would never not give someone a job if they were in their scrubs. That's their job. But if someone was very flamboyant and very colorful, I'm fine with that. But the flamboyancy, just say someone had tattoos all over. I'm fine with tattoos, but in our industry, some places want you to cover them up. So I would have to bring that up to someone. Now, I did recently hire someone that has tattoos, which I'm fine with. And I've never said anything and they were tasteful. It had nothing. Yeah. So it's my first impression is they have to have a smile on their face. They seem just almost like that confidence. You want to see that they have some confidence, but yet have a little bit of, I don't even know how to explain, not fear, but that kind of feeling like, okay.
You don't want them overly confident. You don't.
Exactly. I don't want them overly confident. And I've interviewed people, trust me, that were very overly confident in themselves. And I didn't hire that person, to be honest. Because
what about the handshake? Is that something?
Yeah. Yes. Well, now with COVID, it is a whole different way of interviewing. I've actually, with COVID, we've done a lot of over the computer, over the web, which it's a whole different dynamic. And you kind of get a feel of them over that. But I feel like in person is a whole different level. Yes, the handshake, you want that. You want someone to reach their hand out to you and introduce themselves and stuff like that. Yeah.
And you want like a firm handshake too. I have interviewed people myself in the past. And if you're going to give me a limp little handshake, then it's like, oh, come on. Like you got to go in there. Yeah. That's where that confidence comes in too. That's good to know.
You know what else I wanted to say real quick?
Oh yeah.
If they're disheveled, if they seem disheveled or if they're put together, that is a big thing to look for, because if someone is disheveled, that goes to show you that's how they'll be when they work. They won't be organized. That's what I look for too.
Let me go one step further with the appearance part of it. What about heavy makeup and bright nail polish for the female candidates? Is that something where you would discourage people from doing, or it doesn't matter to you? Like if somebody came in with neon green nail polish, a crazy outfit, really heavy makeup, maybe like super bright red lipstick, and is that something that you think employers frown upon, or is it something that you can look beyond and get to know the person?
I can look beyond that and I would interview them. And if they seemed like they would be a good fit and they had all the credentials and they checked off every box, but they had that bright neon nail polish and the heavy makeup, I would definitely say something to them as far as saying to, say, Miss Smith, your resume, you checked off all the boxes. I really feel like you would be a great fit. But there's one thing I have to tell you, as far as being in the medical profession, we do shy away from the nail polish or even having fake nails. As you know, Kim, like they do frown upon that as a whole. It's just not me. That's just the protocols of the hospital for health reasons. And the makeup, I would probably say we just need to tone it down a little bit, just a little bit. That I would do it in a nice way. And even though I might offer them the job, they might not after the interview to want to work for me. It's a give and take, I feel like, too.
I love that you're fair and that you're honest with them and that you would give somebody a shot who has a good resume and presents themselves well, that you can look beyond that and just give them that little information like, hey, look, we do bring you aboard. You have to tone it down. Yeah. And I think people respect that. They like to hear it, because they may take that to the next job interview. You never know.
Yeah.
So that's good advice. What are some of the common questions that you ask a potential candidate?
So when I sit down with them, I do want to know a little bit about themselves. So my first question is always, tell me a little bit about yourself. And I want to see what they tell me, because sometimes it's hard to describe yourself to someone that you don't know. My next one is, why did you apply for this job position? Like, what made you want to apply? And after that question, I say, why would you want to leave your current job that you applied for this job?
That's a big one. That's a big one.
Yeah. That is a big one. And right there is going to tell me. And some people don't realize when they're talking with you that they can sound good or not so good to you. So it all depends. I also ask them, what's their work ethic? Because of being in a breast center, I feel as though as a technologist, you need to have empathy. And sometimes those seasoned techs kind of lose it. I feel like it's a good and a bad thing to be a seasoned technologist, because sometimes they get tired and they just go through the motions. But I feel in the medical profession and with this, we're screening for cancer. It's not taking an x-ray of a hand to see if it's broken and it can heal very easily. So there's a lot to be said.
Yeah, those are some good questions that that the students, I'm sure, would like to know ahead of time, because you never know what you're going to get when you walk in. It could be anything. It's from where do you see yourself in 5 years to tell me why you left your previous job. And I tell the students, have your answers ready, be prepared, go in there, be confident, know what you're going to say, because it shows. I mean, everybody's a little bit nervous. Nobody's perfect. But when you start stumbling, or if you can't answer a question, it's like kind of like a mark against you, I feel sometimes.
Right.
You have been in this industry for 31 years. How is today's medical industry different from when you started? I have students that are interested in being certified nursing aides or assistants. I have students who want to go on into nursing programs. They aren't going to be so familiar with how it was years ago, but I just want to know your personal opinion. Like, how has it changed since when you started back 31 years ago?
I have to say it's come full circle, I think. But when I started, I could have went anywhere for a job. It was a dime a dozen. Like, you had your pick. It's a whole different world in that aspect. And then it kind of got dry. Like, there was so many people applying for radiology that it was hard to get a job. And now I think with COVID-19 and so many people had to leave their jobs to take care of their families, children and stuff while they were home. And there's now more jobs out there. That's like the biggest thing that I have to say is different. But medically, insurances have changed from technology changing. It's just have to be in with a patient so much longer than we are today. So we're only to get in, say, 20 people in an 8-hour. Now we can probably double because of technology. So just in that in itself has changed.
Yeah, it definitely has changed. And also the standards have changed as well. I know from my own personal experience. And, things have definitely gone in a different direction. But all right, Deb, listen, this has been a great review with you for the students. We talked about your background, which thank you very much for sharing your personal information with us, reviewing a resume, what you're looking for, your first impressions, what type of questions are you asking? I think this is all good, solid material for our students. Thank you. I would love to have you back on in the future. Maybe we could talk more about another topic because you are very experienced in so many areas, especially within that medical industry. And I would love to have you back on.
Thank you, Kim. And thank you for asking me. I was very honored and I appreciate you asking me and me being able to share everything with everyone.